You know, history isn't just a collection of dates and events. It's really a story of challenges and responses. In this explainer, we're going to unpack a really powerful argument that uses one ancient warning, literally carved in stone, to understand centuries of history and to send a pretty stark message for today. Let's dive in.
So, this is the proverb at the absolute heart of our discussion. Though the world may be at peace, to forget war is to invite peril. Wow. It's a blunt, timeless message, right? It's all about the high price of getting too comfortable. And according to the author of our source material, this idea holds a critical lesson for survival. And get this isn't just some abstract philosophical idea. The author makes it a point to tell us that these words are literally carved into a monument at South Korea's Ministry of National Defense. Now, when you carve something in stone, you mean for it to last. It's a permanent message. So the big question is, why this particular message? What makes it so vital?
To really get what this warning is all about, the author says we need to rewind, way back. We have to look at Korean history as this massive shift in identity, one that was shaped by geography and, you guessed it, conflict.
So on this slide, you see this really fundamental split. The source describes this evolution from these expansive, nomadic, horse-riding peoples on the vast continent to a settled people confined to the Korean peninsula. The author argues this wasn't just like moving to a new neighborhood. It was a profound change in the entire national character, a whole new strategy for survival, born from the constant pressures of war and peace. And once they were established on the peninsula, something pretty incredible started to happen. They formed these remarkably long-lasting, unified kingdoms, Silla, then Goryeo, then Joseon. According to the author, this wasn't just a lucky streak. This amazing stability was a successful, deliberate adaptation to a brand new geopolitical world.
And this whole history of adapting to survive, well, that brings us to the author's central theory. It's this really fascinating model for how a nation can not just survive, but actually thrive when it's living right next door to a superpower.
Okay, first we've got to wrap our heads around this key term, a hegemonic order. It sounds complicated, but it's really not. Just think of it like this. There's one country, the hegemon, that is so powerful it basically sets the rules of the game for everybody else in the region. It's their world. Other countries just live in it. So the author breaks this order down into three basic roles. At the very top, you've got the hegemon, the one calling the shots. But the crucial position, the real sweet spot, is what the author calls the number two. Now, this isn't a rival, it's a key partner who actually prospers by aligning with the hegemon. And then there's, well, everyone else, who just has to figure out how to live in the world these top two have created.
And this, right here, perfectly illustrates the author's historical argument. During that long era of Chinese dominance, the Pax Sinica, Korea absolutely mastered this number two role. You can see the evolution, from a feared neighbor in the early days, to a respected partner, to an integrated ally, and finally, to a state so important that the hegemon felt it was worth defending. The strategy was to become so valuable that your own security and prosperity were basically guaranteed.
Okay, so now the author takes that exact same framework and applies it to the chaos of the last century and the rise of a completely new global power.
And man, what a century of upheaval it was. This timeline shows this incredible reversal of fortune. In the late 19th and early 20th centuries, that old order collapsed, and Korea lost its sovereignty. Then, it became a devastating battlefield in the Cold War, left divided and in total ruins. But, and this is the amazing part, from those ashes, it rose again to become what the author calls a linchpin in the new American-led order, the Pax Americana.
And here is the author's powerful conclusion on this. This modern success story wasn't a miracle. It wasn't an accident. It was the successful modern-day application of a centuries-old survival strategy, skillfully navigating a new hegemonic order to once again become an indispensable partner.
And all of this brings us to the author's ultimate point. After analyzing centuries of external threats, the final, most crucial warning turns inward.
The source makes this critical distinction between two kinds of danger. On one side, you have the external threats, the constant pressures of geopolitics. But on the other, you have internal threats, division, infighting, social conflict. And the author is absolutely clear. This second category, that's the far greater danger.
This quote from the source really just puts it all on the line. The historical choice is stark: prosper as a number two partner, or become prey for the hegemon's dogs. For the author, the key to avoiding this terrible fate isn't really about foreign policy, it's about internal unity.
So we're left with this final, challenging thought. After this whole journey through history, from continental horsemen to a global linchpin, the author's interpretation of that ancient warning, to forget war is to invite peril, is that the most decisive war, the one that truly matters, is the one a nation fights with itself.